Meet the Mets and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the Mets, Mets of New York town. Oh, the butcher and the baker and the people on the streets, where do they go? To meet the Mets! Oh, they're hollering and cheering and they're jumping in their seats. Where do they go? To meet the Mets! All the fans are true to the orange and blue, so hurry up and come on down, 'cause we got ourselves a ball club, the Mets of New York town. Give 'em a yell! Give 'em a hand! And let 'em know you're rooting in the stand. Come on and meet the Mets. Meet the Mets. Step right up and greet the Mets. Bring your kiddies, bring your wife. Guaranteed to have the time of your life, because the Mets are really socking the ball, knocking those home runs over the wall. East side, west side, everybody's coming down to meet the Mets, Mets of New York town, of New York town.
All right, and we are live. Thank you all so much, Mets fans, for chiming in. I'm sure you don't even want to be here right now, because this is a tough pill to swallow. As we know, Mets get swept tonight against the Red Sox after a 1-0 loss, and we have plenty to talk about, but let's start with a special guest, that being, and yes, Joe DeMayo for SNY, who covers the Mets and their prospects, but also is the co-host of the That's So Mets podcast. So, Joe, thank you so much for chiming in for a couple minutes. I appreciate it. And what is your initial stance on tonight's defeat to the Red Sox?
Man, it's tough to watch this offense, just the way they've been performing. And, you know, it feels like this is how it's always been for DeGrom. He just doesn't get run support. But now this has been, you know, obviously a trend for the Mets in the early going, that this offense just isn't clicking yet. Still, obviously, a very talented offense. I mean, we've talked about it in the offseason, and I even tweeted this last week, that if you believed in the Mets offense in the offseason, then you should realize, you know, it should turn around. But it's really tough to watch when basically the entire lineup, except for Nimmo and JD Davis coming into this game, everyone is really not hitting that well. I mean, Alonso, I guess I can't forget him. He's got 5 home runs. But ultimately, the offense, basically everyone's slumping at the same time. And I'm, by proxy, a glass half full guy. So I'm like, well, that just means they're all going to come out of it at the same time. And then the Mets are going to be unstoppable on offense. So it's definitely tough to watch. And I absolutely understand the frustration that fans are having.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I'm not in favor of the Francisco Lindor boos and all these other things. But I get it. Emotions are high right now for a team that, when you look at them on paper, they should be star-studded. And I know that they've had 7 games postponed now for either COVID or snow or rain, whatever it is. But they've definitely struggled to get in a rhythm now. And it looks like that they definitely won't get in a rhythm for the month of March. We'll see what entails. But May, hopefully, they really get things rolling. But, you know, I appreciate you coming in again. So I want to know your thoughts on, while this was a loss, a very stereotypical one, regarding the Mets, it always feels like it's either the offense is clicking and the pitching is not, or vice versa. The pitching's thriving, including the bullpen, which is a big bright spot. Let's not forget about your man and Sugar Diaz had another lights out night. Like, seriously, it's like whenever these things kind of go right, something is going awry, and that unfortunately has been this Mets offense, just not a rhythm. But I would love to know your quick stance here on Jacob deGrom and how he performed tonight, because while it wasn't the most deGrominant night, it was, by all means, still a very serviceable night. But because we have such high expectations, only 6 innings, one run that ends up being the loss in the end. So what's your stance on that?
Exactly what I was going to say. We have expectations for deGrom. Like, if deGrom gives up a run, we almost wonder what's wrong.
Exactly.
He had a good outing. I'd say early on, he looked like he was trying to find himself. He wasn't really locating too well. So he definitely went through some struggles early in the game, but then he found himself and, was fine for the rest of the game. Just got no support. The bullpen was perfectly fine. That came in after him, like you said. And, all in all, the bullpen's been good this year. I mean, short of, the real beginning where a couple bad things happened. Trevor May has pitched well of late. Aaron Loop's been pretty good. Diaz has been good. Miguel Castro's been
Yes, he has. Castro's my guy.
Yeah.
I love him.
Jairus Familia's even pitched pretty good. So, like, all in all, the bullpen's been fine. The starting rotation's been fine. It's just the offense. And, it's just how it's going to work is when the offense turns it around, the pitching will flip the other way. And that's the game of baseball, I guess, a little bit, where it's like you rarely will have everything clicking at once, at least for an extended period of time. But ultimately, I think it's still a really talented offense. Like, I believe Dom Smith is going to hit. I believe Jeff McNeil is going to hit. Conforto's starting to turn around a little bit. He struggled, but he's starting to turn around, hit the ball harder. Lindor, to me, just looks off balance, doesn't look comfortable. I think it's a mechanical thing for him. And I give him some credit for considering how much he's struggling at the plate, that he's unaffected in the field. He's unaffected as a leader, and his energy is still exactly the same. So to me, I give him a little credit, and that's how he's like a professional and a superstar. He knows that, all right, I'm not hitting right now. I know I'm going to. I'm not going to let it take down other parts of my game in the process. And a lot of other players aren't able to compartmentalize all those things and be like, well, if hitting's not working, you can't let it impact other parts of your game. So I think Lindor will be fine. But certainly it's worth acknowledging how he's playing. I know people are, I'm with you as far as booing. I'm not one who wants to go boo players at the ballpark. Is the only time I'd consider booing is lack of effort. If someone's not trying, I get it. But I don't think you can get that vibe from Lindor that he's not trying. I think he's just struggling. And fans are frustrated. They saw a big contract. They heard how much of a superstar he was. And, through 19 games, 18 games, whatever it is now, he hasn't played like one offensively. So I understand the frustration. It's worth acknowledging how he's playing, but also realize that he is a superstar. There's a reason he got that contract. And generally, it's kind of an old school way of thinking, is generally people perform to the back of their baseball card. Like what you usually do, you usually get there by hook or crook, whether that's a good beginning, a rough middle, and you catch up at the end, or, you could get there different ways. So I think all in all, Mets fans, by the time the end of the year, will realize Lindor had a really good season.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with you. And I've been saying this to everyone, all my viewers, between the booing, this and that. Look, we're 19 games into 162. Things are going to be fine. I think for me personally, and then I'll let you get out of here because I know you're short on time, but it's just been underwhelming, even with having the postponements and everything. I don't think there's any rational thought behind it. This offense is just completely slumping to the point of, as you stated earlier, you're right. It's not just one guy. It's different when you have a kind of a hot lineup, but maybe you have Pete slumping because he's going through his normal slumps, or even McNeil, but it's literally everyone. And it definitely hurts when you have a team that normally on paper should be backing up each other, whether that's 1 through 9. Even Jacob deGrom, he was a 500 hitter going into tonight's outing. And, that's different now. But I really appreciate you again chiming in. This was a lot of fun. Hopefully next time I have you back on here, it's after a Mets win. You think Jacob deGrom's on the mound? Okay, the offense, it's probably not going to be there, but I was thinking, maybe it's reverse psychology. The offense wasn't there yesterday. Maybe we'll see something different. But no, this is a 1-0 Mets loss, and it's frustrating. Yeah. Trust me, it is. My emotions were definitely higher during my live stream commentating throughout the game than it is right now. I'm kind of more even keeled, if you will. But before I let you out here, Joe, is there any other final statements that you'd like to make on just the Mets, where they currently are, what we could expect going forward, and of course, make sure to give your plugs for your podcast and everything else?
Absolutely, yeah. So it's just a kind of a tough April, but I think the rest of the NL East had a tough April too. I mean, The Mets are just fell under 500, and they're going to be in second place, I think. I mean, I didn't see what the other scores were tonight, but they're right smack dab in contention with the rest of the division. So you would have liked to have had a big April and maybe, builds, a gap between you and the other teams, but they didn't have, a tough month and everyone else was great. So they're right there. The Mets are still, in my eyes, as talented as any team in this division. And you still have guys like Cookie Carrasco coming back soon, Syndergaard coming back soon. And I know it doesn't fix the offense, but the rotation has a chance to be absolutely unreal for the rest of the season.
It does.
And the offense will circle around. We all know how good the players that the Mets have in their lineup. So it'll circle around. Hopefully, May is an improved month. April was just so. You can blame the postponements and stuff like that for a little bit, but at this point they've been consistent now for a bit. So to me, that's over with. That was, a 2 week ago excuse. That's not a now excuse. It's just they aren't hitting and they need to start doing so. And hopefully, once May starts, they can, really start going. As far as plugging my stuff, check out my work at SNY.TV. The Mets minor league season is going to be starting next week. So minor league baseball is basically back, which is really exciting because didn't have it last year.
Yeah.
And of course, podcast, That's So Mets Podcast. On Twitter, you get it at That's So Mets Pod. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, all those places. Give it a check. Check it out with me and my guy, Connor Rogers. We do a weekly show covering basically the last week of Mets stuff, interviews, other fun things. But yeah, just stick with me, and appreciate you having me on again, and we'll do this again soon.
Yeah, no, again, I appreciate you plenty, Joe. Again, I was hoping to have some excitement, a lot of things to break down, pitch by pitch, or just a lot of things going on with the Mets offense. That wasn't the case tonight, but I'm like, you know what? This is already preset. We got to talk about it regardless. So even though this was short, I appreciate you, Joe. I wish you nothing but the best going forward. And hopefully we'll maybe get you back on sometime next week, because I will intend on doing this throughout the Cardinals series. So stay tuned for that. Absolutely. Well, thank you again, Joe. I appreciate it, buddy. Have a great night, and we'll talk soon, my man. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
All right, guys, so that was Joe DeMayo for SNY. Again, a huge shout out to my man for chiming in. I know that, again, this was probably the worst time to be doing post-game for the Mets, but look, we have to go through the highs and the lows at the end of the day, and I think that's what really makes a true Mets fan, and that's what we're doing. And Joe's fantastic. He is as knowledgeable as any regarding the New York Mets. He knows prospects on the back of his hand. You guys know that because you've seen him, and I talk about prospects here in the past. He'll be on the channel in the future. Same thing with Draftnik Mark regarding post-game coverage. Same thing with Richie and Mets Media. Even possibly Fuzzy, too. I plan on reaching out to him and plenty of others. Either way, this is not the most ideal post-game, but we're still going to talk. And now, guys, the Mets lost this one, and I want to share a quick couple thoughts before we really get into having some callers in. Because, guys, if you're here, just know that I will be having callers in, so I'll be showing the actual live stream link for you guys to join in shortly. But before we get there, the Mets lose this series. They get swept 2-0. And when you look at them currently in the standings, they're probably not first now, right? They're definitely not. And am I worried? No, not whatsoever. The last thing I care about is standings at this point in the year, and I think we can all attest to that. But to see the Mets, again, as Joe was reiterating, as I stated myself, the offense, for it to not just be down where you have a couple players out of the groove, but to have the entire team slumping consistently together, there's an issue. There's a problem. And it's something that I do believe the Mets are for sure going to bounce back out of. And hopefully that is starting the Phillies series. You guys know I'm a big optimist. You know that I'm all in favor of the Mets, where they're going to thrive. They're going to win this division. They're going to make playoffs. They'll win a World Series in the next couple of years. I do believe all those things, for the most part, will come to fruition. But until that point, we have to focus on what is happening now. And what is happening now is not good from an offensive stand of things. But we will focus on the positives here in tonight's game. That I will just say, while the offense was abysmal, they only had, I believe, 3 hits or so on Nick Pivetta, who very similarly, just like the night before against Garrett Richards for the Red Sox, looking like Cy Young, both of them. Seriously, these guys were untouchable. When you look at them, though, Nick Pivetta is nothing crazy. This guy had fastballs all up. His command was all over the place. He just lucked out against a team that had nothing going, was absolutely zero rhythm. Jacob deGrom does not get a win tonight. He gets a no decision. That drives me absolutely nuts. I would literally die for this guy. I'm not even exaggerating. Jacob deGrom is the face of this Mets franchise. He's the best pitcher in baseball, and he almost gets a loss off of a 1-0 defeat to the Red Sox because baseball, the offense just isn't there. April is not the month for the Mets this year, nor has it been in a couple years past. They've had hot starts, but normally leads to a really cold halfway through the season going into June. And I'm really hoping that this Mets cold start, while they're only one game below 500 right now, it's not a big deal, but it's frustrating. I think we can agree. But before we get on to more of the negatives and I answer all you callers, let's talk about one more thing here, and that is the pitching. This needs to be emphasized in my mind because Jacob deGrom, again, goes 9 innings, one earned run, I believe 9 strikeouts, only gives up a couple hits. And pardon me, I think the Mets only had 1 hit on the night. It was a couple hits. Either way, regardless, deGrom only gave up 3 or 4 hits, 1 run over 6 innings. Had a really serviceable night, but you saw Gary, Keith, and Ron discussing how this wasn't that positive an outing for deGrom. And I think that they were a little exaggerating just because of the fact that deGrom's ERA went from a 0.3 to 0.5. Like, that is Jacob deGrom. Like, he's amazing. He gives up 1 run, and we think it's the end all because this offense can't back it up. It's frustrating, I know. And I want to talk about it a little bit further here on the bullpen. The bullpen was star-studded again tonight. Aaron Loop giving up no runs. Trevor May, Edwin Diaz, Sugar Diaz was absolute money. I can't thank them all enough for the serviceable outings that they had for the Mets. And again, these things are overlooked when the Mets lose. And that's probably the most frustrating thing to me. It's like, all right, like I stated with Joe already, you have the highs in the pitching. Everything's looking good. You have the lows in the offense because it's not clicking. Then you're going to have streaks throughout the season where it's vice versa, and I'll probably be streaming and ranting about it then too, where you have the offense clicking, but for whatever reason, the rotation or the bullpen and or both is not clicking. These things will be seesawing back and forth all throughout the season because that's how baseball works, folks. The Mets are in a slump right now offensively. It is abysmal. There's nothing more that I can say on the matter. Is Chili Davis on the hot seat? I don't think so, but you do have to wonder how much longer can this drag out without some type of thing being justified. Again, I don't think Louis Rojas is in danger, nor do I really think Chili Davis is. These guys will get out of the slump. They're gaining hard contact with some of them, but man, oh man, when you have an entire team slumping, there's usually a problem. So it's saying that, guys, I'm going to start taking callers now. I'm interested to see what a couple of you Mets fans have to say. I'll be answering a question or two from you guys. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be sharing the link right now. We're going to be copying the link in here, and I'm excited. I'm curious what you guys are going to have to say after, a series sweep to the Red Sox, man. Keep it short, keep it sweet, and again, more than anything, keep it civil, guys. Please do not say anything crazy. Join the stream live is what I'm going to be putting right here. There we go. So we got the stream link in there, guys, so you guys can go about it as you please. But again, this was a tough one. This was a tough pill to swallow. I wholeheartedly agree. I'm curious what you guys are going to say on the matter, however, because look, even in defeat, the Mets are a team that we need to make sure that we realize the big picture here. And the big picture with this club is the fact that they are going to get out of this slump. We know that very much so. And I'm confident in them. Trust me, you guys know I'm an optimist. I'm always confident in this club. It just hurts. It just hurts when they get swept like this. The series itself was trash. I agree. I've really bit the bullet in the sense of when I was streaming last week, it was against the Cubs, and the Cubs, we all know how that series went. Then they go on and win 2 out of 3 against the Nats. DeGrom has a DeGrom-inant outing, and I unfortunately was away because I'm just usually busier on the weekends. But we already got a couple guys chiming in the stream. So, guys, I'm going to give you a couple minutes to kind of get situated, share your thoughts, give a question or two. So if you do, in fact, want to chime in and be a caller in tonight's stream, I got a couple people already lined up. I love you guys. Again, we're diehard Mets fans. I appreciate that. So I'm going to give you guys a couple more minutes. We got 3 people lined up. That's awesome. So, again, guys, I appreciate you. We're good. We have a lot of questions. I'm sure a lot of people are going to ask a lot of important things. So we're going to get into it right now, and we'll start with our first caller. So we'll get into it right here, guys. So again, if you're watching this probably on replay, I'm curious what your stance is going to be on it. Again, for anyone that's just chiming in, again, please, no profanity, nothing like that. Be respectful. You can be on camera or you can be off camera for being a caller in the stream. It doesn't matter, but I'll be answering a couple of your questions as you guys get a chance to talk for a couple minutes. So here we are again with my man. He chimed in yesterday. What's up, buddy? I'm going to pronounce your name wrong, so do yourself a favor and pronounce it right.
Zuriz.
Okay. Okay, Blake. So what is your thoughts on this loss tonight, and what do you have to say in particular?
Yeah, how you doing, Tyler?
I could be better.
I know we all could, right? I want to make a couple things clear. At least we're struggling now, and at least we're still very close to the division lead. And we have to acknowledge that I think that our bullpen and rotation will be this good all year. So I think that we just have to be patient, because you see a lot of other teams are struggling, and I don't see any way that this Mets team the offense stays this quiet. I mean, we've seen what these guys can do. Jeff McNeil has like the highest batting average in the league since 2018. There's just too many reasons to believe that they will eventually break out. I do believe Chili Davis is on the hot seat because this was last year too. And the excuse was, oh, he wasn't with the team. That's not working out very well. The offense is looking worse than last year. And this is a better lineup if you go by batter by batter. Like, you don't have Ramos grounding out to shortstop every time. You have James McCann, who is a better catcher. A better hitter. I mean, look, Ramos is getting all his home runs, but I don't care. Over a real season, no way Ramos is a better hitter than McCann. But and look, you just have to take it with a grain of salt too, because Lindor, he will eventually break out of this, and we have to keep faith, because our bullpen is so much better than everyone expected. And it's only going to get better, the bullpen. Our rotation is only going to get much better. It is only a matter of time. It might take a while, but I think there's no reason to believe that this offense won't wake up even a little bit to where our rotation and pitching will be able to get us a lot of wins. I picked the Mets to win the division before the year. I stand by it. I don't really like the Braves rotation. And I think that they're going to lose a lot of games because the rotation fails them. But I think it is the saddest part. DeGrom has given up 2 earned runs, and he has 2 losses on the season.
Yep.
That is unheard of. I truly cannot believe that. And this is unacceptable. Luis Rojas better be like flipping tables. I know that's not what he's about, but like, if we're going to win a championship, we're going to need a manager who's not going to put in Stephen Tarpley when you have a 2-run deficit, or you're going to just put in Robert Gesellman when we have a 1-run deficit. We need someone who's going to fight for the players, and we need someone who is going to just lead this team, and his presence will be felt throughout the entire game. These last couple games, I've not seen Rojas in the dugout. I've not seen him do anything. I forgot he's even part of this team, and it's so frustrating. We need leadership, and we need to get out of this. I think we will. I have us winning the division, but it is just so frustrating, and there's no reason to panic because we're still a roughly 500 team, even when we can't hit. Our rotation's going to win us a lot of these games. We just need to wait, okay? And we will be fine, but it is so frustrating, and I understand. I feel dead inside, but I'm confident.
Man, this feels like deja vu from yesterday. It really does. But again, I appreciate you chiming in, buddy. So yeah, a lot of choice words there. So in a nutshell, everything is going to be okay. You're concerned with Rojas, however, you'd like to see more of a fire under him, and I agree. My stance on Rojas is this, and then I'll get you out of here quick because I know we have a couple other people lined up here. And again, guys, if you want to chime in and share your thoughts live in the stream, all you got to do is click that StreamYard link, and then you can either just share your own audio, or if you want to share your visuals too, you can. But my stance on the matter is this. Rojas, I really liked what I saw with him in the Cubs series. It felt like it was long overdue to see him finally get a fire under him, if you will, where the umpiring has been pretty much abysmal to start the year, and it finally took that Cubs series to kind of get under him. Like, okay, so Walker gets thrown out, Rojas gets thrown out right after. I like that. Now, do I think Rojas is a guy that'll be with the Mets long term? I honestly don't have an answer to that, but I've said this before, and I'm sure you know this by now. I am not against Rojas in a lot of ways because I feel like the Mets can really gel him into something worthwhile. Because when you look at this Mets club with this new regime and not having the biases like a normal veteran manager in the MLB would, where they're kind of stubborn, they're kind of hard-nosed, they feel like that they're going to stick with a system because they know what works and what doesn't. Rojas is a new guy in town. He's a guy that has worked up himself within the Mets organization, has a respect, has developed these players, and now he's with the management group that through Steve Cohen, Sandy Alderson, Zach Scott, they have a really good opportunity and chance to gel him. And don't get me wrong, Rojas is at fault for some of these losses this season to an extent, but I don't think it's nearly anything drastic to say that, okay, it's a major problem. So that's my stance on Rojas. I understand yours. And in a nutshell, the Mets are going to be okay. We know this. This is just a tough loss. It's a tough pill to swallow. Trust me, I did not enjoy any second of live streaming the past game. The only reason why I got enjoyment is because I interact with you guys and doing stuff like this right now. It was a tough loss. Normally, I would have turned it by then on the channels. But in the end, the Mets are going to be okay. I'm the biggest optimist you will hear regarding the New York Mets. I'm sure you feel pretty optimistic. It's going to be okay. And James McCann is a good catcher, so we'll talk about him halfway through the season. But again, before I get you out of here, buddy, is there anything else that you have to say? And then I'll get you out of here for the night.
Yeah, I'll just say this regards to Rojas. I think he is in regards to the first game, like when we were all watching that game, like we were like, oh my God, Rojas is blowing this game. But if you rewatch those highlights, I will give him this. DeGrom did not look very comfortable out there. And even when he walked off the field, it looked like it was just a little awkward for him. So I think we have to get off Rojas a bit for that first game. So I don't think he's been as bad as everyone says, but there are moments where like you just want to have more out of your manager. And I think we can agree on that. But yeah, I really appreciate how you're just out here being optimistic. Like I'm in a couple Mets Discords and it's like everyone is freaking out saying we're like sell the team even. They're going that far. And I appreciate how you're being optimistic. Like I come in the stream and you're talking about how you talk about our bullpen and you're talking about the positive notes and you're not freaking out. I like that.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Look, the channel wouldn't be where it is without optimism, and you have to be realistic. You know, I understand everyone's emotional right now. I understand everyone's upset, but all it takes is one blowout win for the Mets to really completely turn every average Mets fan from being either depressed to, okay, this is the best team since sliced bread. All it takes is one game. Okay, they got swept. It is what it is. But that's the beauty about baseball. You have to take everything short term and your wins and your losses. When you're confident, it's great. When you're losing, okay, it hurts, but you know it shouldn't last too long. So that is my take on it. And again, buddy, I appreciate you chiming in. So have a great night. We're going to get on to our other callers now. So thank you, buddy. But again, great thoughts as always. I wholeheartedly agree. You know, it's one of those things where the Mets, they're going to have their highs and their lows all throughout the season, but rest is assured they're going to be all right. The guys are going to be all right. And you will hear that from me more often than not. And look, it's frustrating. Don't get me wrong. We're 19 games in. This team is not first in the division now. They have an off day. Hopefully they really kind of work on that off day. They're going to be in Philly. They should be able to get batting practice in. These things are important in my mind. But guys, if you haven't already, if you're enjoying the stream, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. And if you guys would like to enjoy the stream and be a caller in here before I continue to share my thoughts as we reach a close in the stream, please, by all means, just click that StreamYard link, and then you can enter and share your thoughts for a couple minutes. But now we're getting on to our next caller, and that is Prime. Prime, how's it going, buddy? Thanks so much for chiming in. And what is your stance on this 1-0 and ultimately 2-0 series loss to the Red Sox? Let me hear it.
I mean, it obviously feels pretty bad. You know, I'm not as old as you guys. I'm a bit younger, so you know, I don't have all the experiences you guys have with, you know, the 2008 losses. I was only 2 when that happened.
Okay.
But, you know, it's definitely frustrating. And I'm assuming everybody's feeling like that. If you don't feel frustrated, I don't know what to tell you at this point. You know, it's just like, even in 2017, you felt like there was some hope. And I know there's hope with this team. It just feels like there's nothing. But you have to remember that there is, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I appreciate you chiming in, Prime. I'm curious, first of all, what has led you to Mets fandom, and what has led you to the channel as well? Because some people that I have in the calls already were from yesterday, so I know their story, but I'm curious to hear yours. But before we get there, you're right. It's frustrating. It is definitely frustrating at times, like right now, but we do have to stay optimistic. We have to know that this is going to be a short-term thing. It is not the end all by any stretch of the imagination. And I love the Mets' chances going forward. But in tonight's game in particular, this one stood out to me just in the sense of just such a stereotypical Jacob deGrom night. And that's my stance on the matter. But before we go any further with our other callers, Prime, so what made you become a Mets fan, and what has led you to the channel and chiming in? I would love to hear it.
Yeah, so my dad was always a Mets fan. You know, my mom and my dad would, watch the games when I was, when I was not even born yet at that point, because I was born in 2006. So, that magical year. I wish I would be able to witness that, but, I'd say became a Mets fan I'd say 2015, because that's when I went to my first game specifically with my dad. I went to opening day, and I got hit in the stomach with a ball during batting practice.
Really?
Yeah, but yeah, it was by Carlos Ruiz of the Phillies. I have his bat or whatever. He gave it to me.
Shoot.
Yeah, it's fine. But I've always been, it's always been something I watched with my dad. I don't have him. He isn't here anymore. But it's always something I did with my dad. So I've been doing that with my mom now, watching the games. But I found the channel and it's just, I think the Francisco Lindor reaction to him getting traded, but I feel like this is the low point of being a Mets fan. Even during those years, how good the team is, it's just not performing. That's why it feels so bad now, right?
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
Very interesting story though. I'm sorry to hear about Chooch. Again, you hurt like that. It's kind of funny, but again, baseball stories are fun. I appreciate you chiming in, buddy. And again, I know you're a younger Mets fan, so luckily, like myself to an extent, you haven't had too much suffering in your life as a Mets fan.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's only trending upward. One of your biggest gripe is basically the Mets now a game or two below 500 and now not in first. That's a good problem to have. So I appreciate you again, Prime, chiming in, buddy, and I hope you have a great night. I love the thoughts as always. And again, it's funny when I hear people how they found out about the channel either through it's normally reactionary streams like Trevor Bauer is a big one because that is by far the biggest thing to blow up in the channel as of late. But Francisco Lindor, whether that's when he got traded here or the extension, it means a lot to me just knowing how you guys came here. So I appreciate you all. And now we're going to get into another caller here and who did call yesterday as well. And that is Larry. So Larry, what's up, buddy? Thanks so much for chiming in. So what's your stance on this 2-1 loss? Pardon me, not 2-1 loss. That was yesterday. This 1-0 loss for the Mets. Let me hear it.
Very heartbreaking. I think the Mets should shake up this lineup. Maybe bring. I think they should send J.D. Davis down and bring up Mauriciano and bring up that kid from Kansas City they traded for because they need to get this something started, like a spark, because the Yankees wasn't playing well and they shook up the lineup. They traded and now they're starting to win some games and they won today. And so I think the Mets should bring up Mauriciano, and even Mauriciano was doing. What is Mauriciano doing right now? What's he doing in the minors? And what is the kid doing with the Mets traded from Kansas City?
Larry? Okay, I think we lost connection with Larry there. I'm trying to get him back in. Here, let's see here. I'm trying to get Larry back in. 1 second, guys. But I think if that was all Larry had to say, I'm not sure if he's able to get back in. But in a nutshell, I agree. It's fine. I don't agree with Larry. I apologize. But Larry, I'm curious as to why you're thinking that Mauricio. So let me give you a quick background. Larry, if you don't know, regarding Ronnie Mauricio, he is not able to be with the club. He's still a couple of years away. So I really wouldn't focus on that. JD Davis is not going to be sent down. And again, this is not a slight on you or anything, but I think this is just something that when you have the average Mets fan and, the fan that's been following every day, like you guys should hopefully know. I would assume that JD Davis, he's never going to be in the minors again in his career, at least not anytime soon. So I would just like to point that out, buddy. But again, I appreciate you chiming into the stream. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, that's really all I can say in regards to Larry's comments. I appreciate you. And again, this was a tough one for the Mets tonight, but I wouldn't necessarily single out JD Davis and Khalil Lee from the Royals deal. That was a solid deal for the Mets, but Khalil Lee is kind of unrelated at this point. He's not a guy that I think that we will see with the club until maybe later in the season. I think he could get his debut at some point this year, but I don't think he'll be anything drastic to the Mets' success at this point in time. They're still a couple years away. But now we have David Perez for our next caller here. So first of all, David, thank you so much for chiming in. I appreciate it, buddy. So what is your stance on this Mets loss, and do you have any questions? If so, by all means, shoot away.
Hey, Tyler. Thanks for taking my call again.
Yep.
Yeah, tonight another tough defeat. But I'm like you. Like, I try to look at the positives amongst all the negativity. And one of the positives that I've taken out of tonight, not only tonight but previous matches, is the great pitching. I mean, we have been seeing phenomenal rotational pitching, and our bullpen has just been awesome. What's really impressing me is Edwin Diaz, especially. The guy is pitching like he was in Seattle. He's been lights out. He's been phenomenal. And, it's those things that when at least, yes, the hitting is not there. It's struggling right now. But at least we have something that we could look, say we have a bright spot, and that's our pitching. And it's only going to get better, like you said, when Carrasco comes back, Thor comes back, when we get Drew Smith back, hopefully soon, Seth Lugo. Those pieces, they're going to be, they're going to be huge for us. So I really tip my cap to Jeremy Hefner. Tip my cap to McCann. A lot of people, they say the fans say, oh, McCann doesn't know how to frame pitches. I'm sorry. I don't know what game they're looking at, but I see that, the guy is playing great defense. He knows how to frame pitches, and it's a testament to look how good our rotation is, how our pitching is. And I believe a lot of it has to go by McCann. I don't know why a lot of people, what it is? I think a lot of people saying, well, they keep comparing him to Real Muto. Oh, he's not hitting like Real Muto. He's not throwing like Real Muto. But you know what? We signed him for his defense. We signed him for his glove. We signed him to be a leader for our pitching. And that's what he has done. That's what he has done. If we would have went after Real Muto, we would have never been in the Bauer sweepstakes. We would have never been in the Springer sweepstakes. We would have never been, even though we didn't get them, but, it gave us the room to get other depth pieces. And I think a lot of Met fans, unfortunately, are not seeing that. We had a great deal in McCann, 4 years, $40 million, and he's doing his thing. Yeah, he's not hitting the ball, but that's the reason why he's in the 8th spot. We don't expect him to hit. He'll get his dingers here from there. He'll get his base hits here and there, but we didn't get him for his bat. We got him for his defense. And to me, I think and I believe that he's doing a great job behind the plate. And, people just have to stop comparing him to Real Muto. Real Muto is an all-star. Respect to him, but, let's please stop making the comparison between him and Real Muto. We have a solid catcher. When he threw out the guy from Colorado, I believe it was last Sunday, nobody was complaining about McCann back then.
Oh, of course not.
Nobody was complaining about McCann. Oh, McCann this, McCann that. But it's amazing when he has a couple of bad games at the plate. we should have gone Real Muto. Come on.
Yeah.
So, it's I'm like you, Tyler, and the other Met fans that have been calling in. I have confidence, I have faith that we're gonna get out of this. Our pitching is there, and how many other teams will wish to have the problem that we have? We have the pitching, we have the solid bullpen, and it's just a matter of the bats just waking up, and it's gonna eventually wake up. It's gonna eventually wake up. We just have to have faith, have confidence that they're gonna pull out of this.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, David. And again, I appreciate you chiming in. Again, guys, if you're just chiming into the stream, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. As we're talking about the Mets defeat tonight, 1-0. The series loss, unfortunately, the Red Sox. And again, this one is definitely a heartbreaker, don't get me wrong. But if you guys do want to chime in at all for our live callers, as we'll be going over probably the next 15, 20 plus minutes, all you got to do is click that link that I have available in the live chat, and you guys can chime in for 5 minutes or so and share your stances on things. So, David, again, I appreciate you, buddy. I know that you chimed in yesterday as well for our first segment doing this. It was a lot of fun. But, yeah, I agree with you. The whole James McCann debate, and look, there's some slight bias there. Don't get me wrong. I'm a big James McCann supporter. I always have. I've been really since he started his tenure with the White Sox, and it hasn't skipped a beat. And yeah, you're right. When you talk about James McCann, the biggest gripes that you see are the comparisons to JT Realmuto. Well, naturally, as a Mets fan, it's kind of hard to live up to JT Realmuto's caliber, considering JT Realmuto is basically the best catcher in baseball. So it doesn't matter if it's James McCann or it's anyone else in the league. If you're going to do that comparison, you're going to probably lose, because JT wasn't just available in free agency to an extent, but he was, and it still is, arguably the best catcher in baseball. So that's why we're hearing all the gripes. The guy, again, and I'll say it again about McCann, he's a stud. I love everything about him. He has a great personality. He looks like an absolute action figure out there, just on a side note. I love that about him. But he can drill out guys at second, which is by far the best arm I've seen as a catcher in quite some time now. I think we can attest to that. And then you also see what he can do with the plate. Look, he's been slumping, but again, McCann's going to strike out a lot. He's known for this at this point in his career, into his late 20s, going to be in his early 30s now or so, if he isn't already. He's a guy that is going to strike out a lot. He's going to be 250 to 260 average, upwards of 20 bombs, 15, 20 bombs a season, 60 RBIs. But he's your eighth hitter. It doesn't matter. That shouldn't matter. The only reason why we're even discussing James McCann right now is because the Mets are not winning and the offense is not prevailing by any stretch of the imagination with this entire lap. So again, David, I appreciate you chiming in, buddy. I hope you have a great night. That's my stance on McCann. I can't get over the McCann haters out there, man. Just wait. Let's see how he's going to do the remainder of the year. He's been perfectly fine. He's drilling out guys. He's framing well. He's an upgrade over whether it's Ramos. And I love Nito too, but he's the starter over Nito for a reason, right? Nito as well. If you look back to Travis d'Arnaud during his time with the Mets, things didn't really pan out there. Go back even further. Look at Lucas Duda. McCann, in my mind, has the potential to really be the best overall catcher the Mets have had since a guy like Mike Piazza, and I'll stand by that. I'm not comparing the two. Mike Piazza's the GOAT. He's the guy on the wall behind me. But James McCann's a damn good catcher, and he deserves a lot more credit than he's been given, I would say, this year out. But now let's get into our next caller here, guys, and that is going to be another big Mets fan. I know he has a separate Mets channel as well. Hayden, buddy, how's it going, my man? So what's your quick stance here on this 1-0 loss to the Mets? And if you have any questions, by all means, let me know them.
Yeah, sure. I mean, listen, this was definitely a tough loss. It always sucks to lose to an out of interleague team, of course. But overall, it was very unfortunate. Very typical for the Mets and a typical DeGrom start. Mets were not able to score any runs. I shouldn't even say runners with scoring positions, because we only were, 0-3 with runners in scoring position. So that was very upsetting. Overall, not a good game. I don't know what's going on with our hitting. I have theories, whether it's the starts and stops between games. I'm concerned now because, tomorrow we have off. But This is going to be a whole issue throughout the season. But hopefully, we start to have these everyday games. So I just don't know if this is going to affect our rhythm. But overall, everyone's flipping out saying, oh, we're under 500. I'm not really concerned. I was thinking about one possibility thing. Let's say our bats are going to be kind of quiet. I remember 2015. How did we start off that first 2015 season? Well, we didn't really have any big hitters. What did we do? After the All-Star break, we got Cespedes, We called up Conforto, and we called up big bats. So, I mean, that's a different scenario than now, but maybe if we do that again, that'll even give more support. But I think it's not much of a big concern. These bats will definitely crack out. Listen, you have Francisco Lindor. Everyone's booing him. I was a little upset too myself. But I think his time will come, as well as all these other guys. And, like I said, when the offense is hot, the defense is dead. When the defense is hot, the offense is dead. But otherwise, DeGrom didn't have one of his best starts. I mean, he gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. So for DeGrom, that's not his best. So that's crazy to say. But overall, I'm very impressed with the bullpen. The bullpen, we had 3 guys up: Luke, May, Diaz, 3 innings, 6 strikeouts. So fingers crossed, knock on wood, our bullpen stays nice and strong. As we know, managers treat their starting pitchers like chess pieces, as I say. But overall, okay game. I think it's very unfortunate we couldn't hit it all. One thing I've noticed is I have not seen Luis Rojas. I don't know if that's just SNY or MLB TV not showing him, but I question where this man is. Not even talking with his pitchers or anyone at all. But overall, definitely tough game to see at the end of the day, and have DeGrom get that loss where typical DeGrom loss, typical DeGrom game.
Yeah, I mean, you said it perfectly. I agree with you 100%. A typical DeGrom loss, a stereotypical one, and it sucks because for someone like not just yourself, but myself too, how much of an optimist I have been on the channel. When you have everything kind of going wrong, and, luckily Edwin Diaz didn't give up any runs tonight, because if so, then it would be the absolute end all. Then it would be like, okay, this is really stereotype, like the Marlins game a couple weeks ago, right? But luckily that didn't happen. But I will say, yeah, you're right. It hurts. This loss definitely sucks. Don't get me wrong. When you don't get runs for Jake, I don't think there's any argument, whether you're a Mets or a baseball fan, is the best pitcher in baseball by a decent gap. For the people that out there that say that Garrett Cole is up there, I'm like, yeah, Garrett Cole's a great pitcher, but he's no Jacob deGrom. There's a difference when you have the Garrett Coles, the Trevor Bauers of the world that have around a career, 4 or so ERA that really started to pick up when they started cheating with their spin rate. I mean, hey, that's part of the game now. Everyone does it, right? That's fine. Okay, all power to you. But Jacob deGrom's on another level, and he's been like that. So when you can't back this guy up, when you hurt his chances of him being a Hall of Famer because you want him to get those wins, it sucks. And when you look at the lineup on paper, this Mets team should be competing for the division. Hopefully we'll win the division this year, if not get really close and crack playoffs. So it's going to be a long year. We know that, but rest assured, anytime you do not back up Jacob deGrom or himself, when he has been the hottest hitter with a 500 average going into this night, and he doesn't even get the hits himself, things are not going right. So the bats are dead. The offense is dead. And as you said earlier, how you're kind of balancing, what is the reasoning for this? Is it because of, the 7-game postponements, whether it's because of COVID, rain, and snow, or whether it's other factors? In my mind, I think those all kind of go in and jumble into this. And also the expectations. Look, the Mets, it's New York. It's a big market. They're having a slow start to the season. What I've been preaching all along, however, is that I'm so glad this is happening now and not in, say, mid to late August. You want this to happen now with the assumption that they get these struggles out of the way. And with Lindor, he's known for being an AL guy. He's getting adjusted to the NL. He's off of a $341 contract. Kind of a big deal. These guys are human, okay? It's not the end of the world, and that's kind of my stance on it, Hayden. So, again, I appreciate you chiming in, buddy. Do you have any other closing remarks? Otherwise, I'll let you get out of here, and I hope you have a great night.
I just want to thank you all for having me. I always enjoy these streams. But like I said, I'm not concerned. I think everyone has the stigma, 60 games. We have over 150 more games. If it was 60 games or if it was August right now, I'd probably be panicking and flipping out. But we have a whole season ahead of us. And 2 months from now, 19-31, Nationals 2019, Mariners 2019. How did they start off? I'm really not that concerned. All the teams right now, the Pirates are 12-11. It's not going to last.
The Pirates are going to win the World Series this year, didn't you know?
Yeah, I'm not concerned. This is how teams get hot, then they go down, they cool off. I'm not concerned, but otherwise, that's all I had to share. I want to thank you very much for having me. Do you mind if I shout out my channel?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. If you guys wouldn't mind checking me out, I have a YouTube channel, Mets Talk with Hayden, cover pretty similar stuff, news, live streams, kind of cover more like small talk that isn't really covered much. But please, if you wouldn't mind checking me out, Mets Talk with Hayden, and follow me on Twitter, Mets Hayden, LFGM all.
Awesome. Thank you, Hayden. Have a great night, buddy. Great thoughts as always. Another diehard Mets fan there. Guys, we got a lot of people lined up. So this is what we'll do for the remainder of the stream. We're going to just continue to take callers. Could I see I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 more, and it starts with Larry. So Larry, I know you've been waiting for a while. Larry, my man, thank you so much for chiming in, buddy. What is your stance on this 1-0 loss for the Mets tonight? I would love to hear it.
Well, Tyler, I'm upset. I'm disgusted. There's 2 good things about watching DeGrom pitch. And that's one, watching him pitch, but they never score for him.
I know.
And that seems the story of his career, you know? And it's just a sad thing, you know? Last night's game as well, you know? Who pitched last night?
David Pearson.
I can't think of who it was.
And Garrett Richards for the Red Sox.
I don't think he did too bad. But I'm surprised at the Red Sox, though. They seem to have a halfway decent team. You know?
Yeah, they do.
You know, but I'm on the same. I'm thinking the same way with you. I like the White Sox in the American League. I would love to see a White Sox Met World Series.
Yeah, I mean, I would love that too. So yeah, if you guys don't know, White Sox are my favorite team in the AL. I adopted them right around 2.5 years ago when they really started getting the heart of the rebuild. Outside of trading Fernando Tatis Jr. for James Shields, they've had a good rebuild and they're thriving for sure. But yeah, no, Larry, I agree with you. I'm disgusted too. You know me as an optimist. It's easier for me to kind of hold back my frustration a bit. As you saw in my previous live stream, it got a little more intense naturally as I'm talking for hours and hours on end about this team just for them to not even get one run for not just me, but for us, right? So it's frustrating.
Right.
I perfectly understand you, Larry, but if there's any other thing that you'd like to give a stance on regarding this game, by all means, let me know.
Well, only thing I basically have to say is, you know what? It's still cold out, you know? Well, I think once the weather warms up, there's been a lot of rainouts, and I think once the players gel together as a team, I think they're going to start hitting. But I think Conforto should be the 8th place hitter than our catcher, McCann. I mean, he really. I mean, it looks like he's starting to hit the ball. He's making more contact, but you know, I'm happy with McCann. You know, Conforto is one of my favorite players. It's disappointing to see that. I was surprised that Lindor was booed yesterday. You know, but I don't know how many games we played, but we didn't play. Certainly, we didn't play a whole lot of games. So,
no,
you know, Lindor is an established player. You know, so I can't foresee him doing bad or whatever. You know, like Cano or whatever. He's young, and I think we're going to have several more years of watching a great ball player like Lindor, you know. And his defense is great, though. So I'd say, you know, his bat he'll start picking it up within the next month or so, you know. Once things warm up, you know. They have too many days off, like I said, with the rainouts and, you know, things like that. But, you know, there's one thing also I noticed in the International League. What they're doing is if the game goes over 9 innings, I don't know if you heard this, Tyler. They after the 9th inning, in the 10th inning, they have a home run derby afterwards. This is in the International League. Have you heard about that?
I've not. That sounds really interesting, though.
Check that out. It's in the International League. I heard it on the radio. I forgot who. I don't know if it's Michael Kay show. I don't know if you know Michael Kay, but you would get him in your area as well. And Yeah. In the 10th inning, it goes into a home run derby. I don't know. I just don't like the way they're changing the ball game.
Yeah.
Just like putting a man on second base. You know what I'm saying? That and the shift. That's the two dilemmas. Two things I just can't stand in baseball.
Yeah.
Especially the shift. And
Yeah.
Lindor doesn't like it either.
No.
So
Lindor doesn't like it at all. And a lot of interesting points. I'll definitely have to do my homework on the home run derby, like 10 plus. That is very, very interesting. But again, Larry, I appreciate you chiming in, my friend. A lot of great stances regarding the Mets as always. So I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to hearing from you again.
Gigi feels better.
What's
that?
Hope
Gigi feels better.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that, buddy.
That's our mascot.
That is our mascot indeed. Yeah, thank you, Larry. Right. Again, I
Gigi
appreciate
will
you,
bring
buddy.
us some luck.
Hopefully luck comes soon, Larry. But again, thank you so much, my friend. I hope you have a great night. Great stance there from Larry. And now we have a couple more guys that we're going to get to, and then we're going to end the stream here. I just want to give everyone a fair shot, get a couple minutes to share their thoughts. Again, this has been a lot of fun. I will say that even with things going down with the Mets, I thoroughly enjoy hearing your guys' reactions to this. So if this is something that you guys are enjoying the chat and are looking forward to possibly seeing in more series that I cover, even if I'm not live streaming during the game, after the game for just post game, let me know. And I'll gladly do this more. But we have another person. So everyone that they know where they currently stand, we have 4 more guys, and that's going to do it for the night. So we got Jack Palmero, we got David Knight, Carson, and Noah, and that is going to end it. So Jack, a loyal member here on the channel, how's it going, buddy? What is your stance on this unfortunate 1-0 loss and series loss for the Mets against the Red Sox? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, hey Tyler, how's it going, buddy?
I could be better, but how's it going?
Yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. This has been the most disappointed I've been, the most frustrated that I've been this whole season so far. Because it's one thing where you get blown out by the Chicago Cubs 16-4. I mean, at the end of the day, that's hilarious.
It is hilarious. You're not wrong.
But when you see our offense, right, and when you've got players like Pete Alonso, like Jeff McNeil, like Francisco Lindor in our lineup, and they can't score 1 run in a very winnable game, or I guess 2 very winnable games now, it's just that's the really frustrating part. That's that's the worst part,
Yeah. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I couldn't have said it better. I mean, when you look at this lineup again, star-studded, 1 through 9, including Jacob deGrom when he's hitting usually. You got all the potential of the role to actually get runs in, and it just isn't happening. It isn't. And it's beyond frustrating. It's something that I wish wasn't occurring at this point in time, like any rational Mets fan. But, I mean, you said best. Like, they have all the potential there. The pieces will all be aligned. It's just a matter of when will it start. And at this rate, it's going to be May. If it's early May, great. If it's late May, okay. Then it is what it is. It's inevitable. I don't have control in this, but what I can confidently say is that things will be changing for the Mets in the positive direction. The offense will start clicking, and we're going to see the Pete Alonsos, the Francisco Lindors, the Dom Smiths, the McNeils, the Confortos, so on and so forth, actually thrive all together in a consistent basis in a unison type of form. And that's what we're all hoping for at the end of the day. And that is what is bringing us most excitement. Is the reason why we were all hyped. It's the reason why I have most of you guys chiming in this stream, because the channel blew up mainly because the Mets are actually, kind of supposed to be good now. So that's kind of my stance on the matter for what you have to say. So Jack, I appreciate you chiming in. Is there any final words you'd like to give before I let you out of here, buddy?
Yeah, with our, or I guess, look, the only reason we're even where we're at right now is because of our pitching, right? Our pitching has been fantastic so far.
Yes, it has.
Starting lineup, Jacob DeGoat, awesome. But even our bullpen, where we struggled in the past, that's been, very solid so far too. So the pitching, I see no problem with that. but with our offense, and look, this lineup has too much talent on it for it to stay stagnant like this the entire season. That's not what I'm worried about. I think what this lineup needs is two things. One, the weather to change, for it to get warmer out.
Absolutely.
Once summer comes, May, June, July, then we'll start getting hot. But the second thing comes down to one player, and that's Francisco Lindor. I think once Lindor being, already the face of our franchise now, apart from DeGrom, he has the type of personality, the type of star power to, once he gets hot, really affect the performance of the rest of the clubhouse. And yeah, once he gets his bat straight, once he starts raking and being the all-star that we all know him to be, that's when I think that this team will really start to pick up steam.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It will come down to Francisco Lindor. People tend to forget he's kind of a franchise-altering player. He's not just a slick glove with that gold glove that is at short, but he has a really strong bat. He's an above-average hitter. He's a guy that can get you 30-plus bombs a year, really, once he's in a groove. And he's just not in a groove right now. And a lot of factors are going into that, but he, in my mind, will in fact be the X factor that the Mets have yet to see outside of a defensive perspective. So again, Jack, thank you so much for chiming in, buddy. I hope you have a great night. Let's go Mets, a loyal member here on the channel. So thank you for that, buddy. But now speaking of members, we're going to get on to another member here on the channel, and that is going to be not a Mets fan. So we're going to hear from an outsider's perspective and David Knight and hear what he has to say from a national side of things. So David, thanks so much for chiming in, my man. I appreciate you. What's your stance from, I'm sure, a happy side of things? That's the 1-0 loss. So let me hear it.
How you guys doing tonight? No, I'm kidding. Just messing with you. No, seriously though, I feel bad for you guys because DeGrom is a generational talent. He is a beast of a pitcher. He's a one-man wrecking crew in himself. I mean, like you said, he not only does he strike out 15 guys, he'll drive in 2 runs on a base hit. I mean, he does everything. And I think I feel bad for him in a way because it's not fair. I mean, I was looking at the box score. He's 2-2 now. His ERA is .51.
I know. It's pathetic.
Disgusting.
It's not even – look, he's literally the worst pitcher in baseball. He doesn't
He's so
anyone.
awful. I mean, he's only 2-2.
I know.
but if you look at his alternate stats, his fifth, ERA plus, everything's like – his ERA plus is over 1,000.
Yeah.
And he's only – it's I feel bad for him. I do. I really feel bad for him. I do want to add one point about Larry's comment. I'm not sure about the International League, but I do know the Pioneer League is going to do that this year. That's like an independent partnership league. I don't know if the other league's doing it or not. They may be, but I saw that and I'm like, man, the only thing I could say about the Mets, and no one in our division is getting going right now. Nobody can get on any kind of rhythm, any kind of run. Like, for example, Scherzer was doing good. He gets dropped by the Jays yesterday, right? Turner and Soto hit. They get hurt to go in the IL. It's the Mets again. I look at your box score. Lindor bagged 203. Conforto's 219. Smith 203. McNeil 204. I mean, it's every team has a hole in their roster, and they can't go on a run. So the only, I guess, saving grace I would say for anyone in our division is no one's run away with it yet. No one's run away with it.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing you can look forward to. I mean, there's still a lot of time left. It's just. And I see the comment, the Braves are getting hot, yes. But again, I want to see them get on a run. But that's one thing to consider, though. I mean, DeGrom, I feel bad for him, man. I do. It's just, I mean, he's a good guy. He knows a team guy. But at the same time, you got to wonder sometimes, can you not give me at least 2 runs? All I need is 2 runs. Give me 2 runs. I'll probably give you a win. But anyway.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, to hear sympathy from a Nationals fan, things are really going wrong for the Mets.
Yes.
And that's been DeGrom for the story of his career as he has become the GOAT, the DeGrominant that we know him for. When you look at the numbers, it's hard to even imagine. It's one of those things where I honestly will probably do a video about eventually on just how amazing of a pitcher he is and how crazy and how otherworldly his win-loss record is and the amount of times the Mets have either had a no decision or a loss when he's only given up 1 or 2 runs. It's unfathomable. I can't even say the word. What he has done, truly, it's mind-boggling to me. It's one of those things that you can't even put into words because it should not be happening. This is a guy that should be getting 20 wins a season, and he's lucky to get 10. And that's just kind of the story of the Mets. And, it's one of those things where it's like, talk about choking. It's like taking it to another level when you can't even get 1 run for the guy. It is what it is right now. Again, I'm comfortable and confident knowing that the Mets, on paper at least, do have a lineup that easily looks like it's the best Jake's has had around him ever in his career. The runs are inevitably going to come. It's just a matter of when. We saw them in the short 2020 season. It just, the only problem was outside Jake, there was nothing in the rotation. Injuries were enduring, and you didn't have a bullpen. The Mets, out of an expanded playoff, did not make playoffs in 2020 because they just did not have the pitching to back them up.
We didn't either, so.
Exactly. It's just one of those frustrating things. And, from a national side of things, it's funny. I know the Nats won tonight. They showed Steven Matz that, yes, you do not belong in the NL East. So he's doing well now with the Jays overall, but he was humbled down a little bit. But regardless, look, happy for your Nats. I'm saying that in the sense of because I like you. I'm not a Nationals fan by any stretch of the imagination. But, David, I appreciate you chiming in. If you have any other thoughts, by all means, go away. Other than that, I'll let you have a great rest of your night, okay?
Yeah, one quick thing about the Mats thing. I was conflicted a little bit because on my fantasy team, I started Mats. So he got killed, which is good for me as a Nationals fan, but I got -5 points on fantasy. So, I will say that it wasn't all joy for me, but I got a good lead in this week, so I should be fine. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's the contradictive thing about being in fantasy. But again, David, I appreciate you, buddy. So have a great night. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I haven't even started fantasy again this year. I was supposed to, but y'all have, and that honestly fell through just because we were all kind of slacking on it. But we'll see. That's the downside. You never want to have players on your rival teams because then you're like kind of supporting them. But it's like, why am I even doing this? I'm in a thing that's like, I don't even know if I'm going to win money or not. Like, unless you're doing it for a big bang for your buck, I don't get it. So yeah, that's just kind of my stance on it. But we have 2 more callers in here, guys. And then we're going to wrap up the stream for this Mets unfortunate series loss. And again, guys, I will be live again tomorrow at right around 2:15 Eastern time on Richie at Mets Media's channel, recapping the series further, giving my more genuine thoughts, and also previewing the series against the Phillies starting this weekend. But Carson, I know it's been a long wait, buddy, and we got Nolan waiting too, but thank you so much for waiting. I appreciate that. So what is your stance here on this 1-0 loss for the Mets and this series sweep against the Red Sox?
Yeah, no problems about the wait, man. But I actually like the last guy. I'm actually a Braves fan. So
see there you go.
But hey, listen, your Mets. Look, it's 2 games. I look at what the Braves did Sunday in 2 games. 1 hit in 14 innings and making Zach Gallen and Madison Bumgarner look like Jacob deGrom, just, and then we get into a series with the Cubs and, just everything wakes up, baseball's a weird game,
It's very weird.
But just to take on the Mets game, I watched a little bit of it in between commercial breaks and all that. And, I heard y'all talking about McCann. I don't think you can really put much on McCann. He's doing what you guys want him to do. Play good defense. He makes some awesome throws, Sorry, I'm a little hoarse. This pollen in Georgia's getting me, but
allergies suck.
Yeah, no, man. But he's doing what you want. Really, you're just looking for McNeil, Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, somebody to get hot and get this y'all's lineups, jump, like get a jump on the lineup. It's kind of what Freddie did for us. Everybody seemed cold. He gets a big hit, and boom, there you go. Everybody's hitting behind him. It's a contagious thing. But you guys aren't really looking at it from a kind of an outer point of view. I don't think you guys are in the baddest spot as some of your fans are talking about,
so the world isn't collapsing is what you're telling me.
No, I think I'm still pretty scared of you guys. I certainly don't want to go into a series where I got to face DeGrom, Sturman, and Walker. That's kind of a Sturman. I know he had a bad game this weekend, but I mean, the other past games, he's been lights out, and I've always liked Walker, and DeGrom's just DeGrom, you never hit him, but I don't think, just wait till your guys. One concern though that I do have is your starting pitching has been so good, but I haven't seen like your bullpen like have to go cover 5 innings, Like, well, I have, I watched the game against Philly and it didn't look good. Maybe that might be a thing y'all could address at the deadline, maybe getting some more guys to bolster that bullpen up because, May's good, Diaz is good. You got some good names, but like I'm just thinking if you get in a shootout with a team, how's that bullpen gonna look going 5 innings? I know it's getting late. I'll let you talk to the other guy. Just enjoy the channel. Thanks a lot for letting me talk.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, Carson. Look, a Braves fan, my man, if you waited multiple minutes just to talk, all kudos to you. That takes a lot. And same thing to David, to the Nationals fans. So I appreciate you chiming in, buddy. That does mean a lot. And look, I love hearing from an outsider's perspective. I think that's really cool. It's something that I honestly don't hear enough. And no, you're right. I would be intimidated facing up against DeGrom too. I would be intimidated facing up against the Braves. The Mets and Braves, the Braves are in my mind, the hardest team to go up against in this division. Those are the two that will be competing hardest to win the division this year. I'm sorry, David. I don't think your Nationals are going to win it this year. They might make a little bit of a run for it, but the Braves are the toughest team to beat. Their rotation does worry me quite a bit, that entire offense for the most part. But I will say, too, it's your question about the bullpen. And you're right, the Mets have had the luxury thus far this season of not having to have the bullpen pitch the majority of the game. That's been a plus. That means the rotation's doing well, which I'm happy about. But I will say, too, that the bullpen, if you look at the numbers, it's actually been one of the best in baseball thus far. And it's surprising. There's been some luck to it, but between Trevor May, looking pretty damn solid after being a little shaky to start out. He's really found a rhythm now. Aaron Loop has been pretty solid overall. Miguel Castro has been the biggest X factor in the Mets bullpen this year. And it's not even Edwin Diaz. As good as Diaz has been, he's been that close down guy that we have hoped that he could have been during his time when he was with the Mariners. He's doing it again now with the Mets. But Miguel Castro has been the biggest bright spot to them with Seth Lugo still being out. Lugo will be back sometime in May. He's our long-term guy when it comes to multiple innings. You know that probably as a Braves fan.
Yeah,
but Castro's 6'7", the prime of his career, can hit over 100 on the fastball, has a defeating slider that's normally his closeout pitch, but has now command to his changeup, which has been really, really surprising. So that's been the biggest thing about Castro. He has command on everything, and that's led to a lot of success in the Mets out of the pen. So again, Carson, I appreciate you chiming in. Have a great night, buddy. But yeah, so again, I appreciate all my Mets and Braves and Nationals fans chiming in. Looks like we have got one or two more here for the callers, and then we're going to wrap things up here. So Nolan, I know you've been waiting for a while. Thanks so much for chiming in, buddy. So what's your stance on this 1-0 Mets loss? But before I do anything, are you even a Mets fan at this point?
I am a Mets fan, honestly.
Okay, all right, there you go.
I don't even know what to think anymore, though. I mean, we need to admire what DeGrom is doing. He's a generational talent, in my opinion.
Yep.
In my life, I don't think I'll ever see someone as good as Jacob DeGrom. Hitters it's basically 50-50 in what pitch he's gonna throw, and they're still swinging and missing. The thing I want to talk about is the consistency with the games back to back. I mean, it's hard for MLB hitters to face really good MLB pitching, not getting back to back games. With these rain delays and the first start with the COVID, I knew we were gonna get off to a rocky start just because of that national series. It's, I don't know, the consistency. It's just hard.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. When you look at the Mets, and look, as you probably know, I attended 5 of the games for the Mets this year. And they went 3-2 in the 5 that I've seen. And out of all those games, none of them I felt fully comfortable with. The rhythm has not been there. And it probably is, in fact, mainly because of those 7 postponements, as we talked, between COVID, rain, snow. At this point, it seems like the sun is going to cause a problem and be too hot. I don't know. But luckily, they're finally starting to get in a rhythm now. And that's why I've had this overwhelming sense of confidence. And I guess shame on me for being such an optimist. Between the Cubs series, I was like, okay, that's a series where on paper you have the better rotation. You should jump on a Zach Davies and a Trevor Williams. You don't. You decided not to do that whatsoever. It's really cold, frigid nights in Wrigley. Mets aren't used to that. They actually don't have a good history in Wrigley either. So that factored in. They lose that series. They get swept. Okay, you bounce back against the Nationals. Had simply DeGrom, literally a generational talent. I could not have said it better. And that is what happens with him. But then you get on this Red Sox series. And again, it's just a team that you can tell the rhythm is not there yet. The offense is not clicking. It's beyond frustrating. Don't get me wrong. And I've said that plenty. And I have a lot of people in the chat and throughout my streams probably like that think it's the end all. Look, it's not the end all. It is a Mets team that needs to get a solid month of baseball at this point under their belt without things happening, because it is evident that such a wacky start can really hurt and be detrimental to a team's success from an offensive standpoint, because it's not just from the postponements, but now it's from a mental standpoint also. These guys are getting in their heads. When the guy's on second base with 0, 1 or 2 outs, they don't know how to react. It almost feels like that they get stage fright. They just can't bring these runners in. It's really stressful. It's unfortunate. Don't get me wrong, but rest is assured the Mets will get out of this slump, and we'll be excited and we'll be screaming on top of our lungs. We'll be talking here when that happens too. So I'm excited for what the future holds for the Mets in this series. And again, Nolan, I appreciate you chiming in. So before I let you go, if you have any final closing thoughts, or also let me know, 1, how do you become a Mets fan? First of all, I'd love to hear it. And 2, what has led you here to the channel at this point in time? Let me hear it.
Well, I was looking, I just looked up Mets news, like in the wintertime, and I saw like 2 minutes ago, Lindor got traded, and I saw you made a video on it. I clicked on it, and I just followed you ever since. Like the main way I started like watching the Mets full time was the Todd Frazier home run game in 2019.
Oh, there you go.
I was on vacation. I heard my dad screaming from downstairs. I was like, what happened? And Frazier hit the game-tying home run. That was awesome. And I'm just saying, like, I feel like our deadline for me is by June, because we'll have Lugo back, we'll have Carrasco back. I don't know when we'll get Thor back, but if we can get our offense going by June or like mid-May, that would be awesome. Because with that pitching staff, I mean, it's gonna be scary.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, Nolan, I appreciate you chiming in. So to kind of get my closing thoughts on Nolan and then to really wrap up this stream, guys. So yeah, no, he's right. It is going to be scary. And June is a perfect deadline. Remember that, guys, because you are not just going to hopefully have Cookie back in May. You should as well have Seth Lugo back in May. Then you're also going to have a guy of, I don't know, Noah Syndergaard. He's kind of a good pitcher, right? Has the potential to still be a Cy Young candidate in the MLB at this point in his career. My personal opinion, I think he's going to bounce back nicely from Tommy John. You know, talk about the optimism. Yeah, I like the chances there. I do. So it's going to be huge once we get to the kind of halfway all-star break mark for the Mets. But I'm excited, man. I am. And it's guys like it's guys like you, the viewers, and chime in that really, really help make this channel what it is and they're growing this community. But also I just want to say again, thank you to everyone that chimed in. It does mean a lot, because I could have went to sleep beyond depressed for the day and a half or so that we don't see the Mets play again. And, you know, they end up losing. But it's guys like you where I love to hear your thoughts. I love to hear other people's feedback. It doesn't even matter if you're a Mets fan. We got Nationals. We got Braves fans. We got everyone. We got potato. It doesn't matter. You guys have been fantastic. And I thank you all so much for the support. And, guys, that's really going to wrap up tonight's stream. So if you haven't chimed in, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe on. If you watch this thing on replay as you're getting ready for the Phillies series, please make sure to smash those buttons too. Hopefully they bounce back in that one. And again, I will be live at 2:15 p.m. Eastern time. One more time for the people in the back for the Mets talk with Richie at Mets Media on his channel, recapping this unfortunate series sweep with the Red Sox and also previewing the upcoming series against the Phillies starting Friday. So I hope you guys are excited. I know I am, but rest is assured, I appreciate you all tremendously. Thank you all so much, everyone that chimed into this. I hope you all have a great night. Mets lose this one 1-0, and they get swept in this series 2-0 overall. But trust me, this is still the beginning. The offense will prevail. The pitching, everything will click. When will that happen? That is the age-old question. But I will tell you this, that good things are bound to happen for this club. They will break out. I'm seeing hard contact. Lindor's got to get out of this slump at some point, right? And that's how we're going to close this one out. So thank you all so much again. Have a great night, Mets and baseball fans. And as always,